On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, I bought a what? ATF loses again, Huggy can't quit, and could the FBI possibly move to Alabama?
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Kraken and Marky, and this is episode 311 of the John 1911 podcast. Today is Saturday, July the 15th. It is 10:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time. You're on Central Mountain. What are you on, Kraken?
Central.
So, yeah, we're nationwide. We are a nationwide podcast. So, this is how I spend my Saturday nights. It used to be the old days. I would be out all night, making money or, I don't know, trying to conquer the world. But now I'm, sitting on a computer as an old man talking to another old man on a Saturday night. So I don't, how the mighty have fallen.
All we have left is to bitch about younger generations and discuss our doctor appointments.
Yeah, those damn millennials. Speaking of old man gun stuff, for some reason I'm running around like it's 2001, and I bought a 40 caliber 1911 for some unknown reason.
Lord.
So Kraken and I have been going back and forth on this for a while. I've been sending him guns for a few months, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I finally pulled the trigger. I found one. What it is I'm kind of on this mission to have some different calibers in single stack 1911s, but higher end guns. Like I don't want a Rock Island or anything like that. So, and I've come to notice the 40 is so unpopular. You cannot find a single stack higher end, well made 1911 and 40 anymore. There's rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them, and I think overall 40's starting to die out, so that's just not helping matters at all either.
I think dudes are shooting. They're not using 40 to shoot major. I guess they're just shooting minor at 9. For some reason, 40 I don't think is really shot that much in USPSA anymore.
Mm-mm.
But I don't claim to know why.
It's losing its appeal in the law enforcement market too.
Well, that's
at least
obvious.
Around here, the majority of departments have went back to 9mm.
Yeah, Cincinnati Police Department never switched from 9. They got some shit for it back in the day, but I guess time proved them right. We actually have one police department. Yeah, I'll just say police department because I don't want to identify them. They actually still run 40s. They run Glock 40s. They're a rural police department. They don't have any money, so what the gun they bought is the gun they run, and they won't ever get rid of those. I wouldn't be surprised if they even try to find a way to keep them longer than the normal rotation that PDs do. So, I actually my goal is, I've got plenty of 45s. I'm never going to buy another 45 1911 ever again. I shouldn't say never, but come on, there's no reason. And the Wilson single stack 9mm, the Experior gun, I just couldn't. That gun runs so crazy well. I just never got over it, and so it's like, well, single stack guns. I've got the double stack. It's the main shooting gun, and it's kind of like look, if you're in the Glocks, right? You have a Glock 9mm, you have a Glock 40. Sometimes dudes get a Glock 10mm. Sometimes dudes will get a Glock 357 SIG because they've already got the holsters and everything to support it. And so it's kind of like, well, these higher end guns seem, especially they got a 9mm figured out. It's like, well, maybe I'll take a look at a 40. Maybe I'll take a look at a 10mm, which doesn't run that well. So that's kind of, take a look at 38 Super. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. So I found a 40, single stack 40. It's a custom gun made by we think it's made by the Springfield Custom Shop. That's what we think.
Yeah, because doesn't it have a Colt slide and a Springfield Armory frame? If I
It's
remember
got a
right.
Colt frame and a Springfield Armory
Okay,
slide.
I
Yeah, it's
was
got their
backwards.
40 slide on it. It's like, what the hell is this gun? And the more you look at it, it's like, and the price on it was like, what is this gun? Like, what is this? Somebody put this together, and you start looking at it, and you're like, man, that's got a professional finish on it. And you start looking at the parts, and you're like, that's not the Springfield MIM part, like thumb safety. But then you look at the hammer, it's like, that's that Delta hammer that Springfield does. It's like, huh, is this a full custom Springfield custom shotgun? And, for the price, it's like, well, maybe it is. So, we'll see. So, get that out of the way. And I was doing some inventory in the armory a couple weeks ago, and I found a bunch of 40 that we never shot. Dude, I found so much I found so much 12 gauge. I can't even believe it. I had no idea we had that much 12 gauge ammo. And so we got to start shooting shotguns, at least just doing videos. We got all these shotguns we've never shot. It's like, I got all this ammo that we're sitting on. It's like, it's crazy the amount of 12 gauge ammo we have. Because we just kept buying it because it's like, we don't have any ammo. Just, if there's a good price, just, oh, target loads, buy some target loads. Oh, that's not available. Buy some, buy some of the hunting loads. Oh, if there's we need buck. Yeah, we need buckshot. And there was enough of this buy it because we need it, don't even check, that I should have checked. And it's like, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, we're we have a lot of 45 that we're sitting on for years and years and years, and we have way more 12 gauge. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, what the hell is going on here? So anyway, yeah, that's kind of, I bought a gun that no one likes and a caliber that no one likes. Um, except for Doc. Do you know Doc shoots? He a lot of times when you see Doc on video on our social media, if he's shooting an M&P, it's a 40 caliber. He Doc likes 40, and he loads for it. So
I
so
don't.
okay. And
I
every
don't
time he
have
gets it,
anything against 40.
mm,
I just a few years ago, it's like I got 10, I got 40, I got 45, I got 30. I got 9 reloading presses, and I probably at one time had 9 different pistol calibers I was loading for. And it finally got to the point where I just went, I just need to consolidate down to a couple calibers that I know I'm always going to shoot and just simplify my life. And that's when I started wheeling and dealing off some of my, all my 40s. I got rid of my 10s, and just concentrated, on my wheel gun stuff, and then 9 and 45.
yeah. What are you shooting 45?
I've got a SIG P220, and I've got a 4506, and an old Combat Commander.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I used to obviously shoot. That's all I shot was 45 for most of 19 years and 4 months. The only gun I carried. Well, yeah, for 19 years, 4 months, the only gun I carried was a 45 caliber 1911 on the street.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I've shot so much 45. It's like, I mean, I don't care. It's like, I wanted a 9mm back then. I wanted a 9mm 20 years ago, and we couldn't get. I mean, you just couldn't get these guns. You just could not get them to run in single stack. I mean, it was just terrible. So, I mean, I don't want to rehash all that. For the listeners have heard me go on and on about this. So anyway, I bought a 40. I don't know why we have 40. And like my rationale for it is too, but it doesn't really apply to us because I'm full of shit. I'm just making up reasons to buy guns. But, it's like the idea of like, well, if you can't get ammo, like if I can't get whatever X ammo I can buy, or we just, the dudes that couldn't find ammo during the pandemic, Like all that dudes could find 40 in the store. And I remember thinking to myself, man, that's an argument for 40. You know what I mean? But we don't. But the thing is, the armory, we don't buy ammo that way. We buy it by the cases and in the pallet, and it's just like, what am I fucking kidding myself here? It's like I'm not gonna buy 8 cases of 40 and sit on it. I'm just, if I run through some 40 or have a little bit of 40, it's just to putz around with and kind of, compare it to, like honestly, I am not even certain if a all steel 5-inch 1911 and 40 Smith and Wesson will actually recoil less than the same gun in 45. I think some people will say the opposite. Some people will say that it recoils more, the perceived recoil to the user.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I had to lay a wager down right now, I would wager that the 1911 in 40 caliber is going to have a sharper or quicker recoil impulse than the
It's a higher
45.
it's a higher pressure round for sure.
Yeah.
So
But I don't know how it's sprung, and grips can make a difference in perceived recoil, so there's a lot of variables in there too.
yeah. So my argument is obviously to have the caliber because it's a diversification. If we ever putz around some ammo, if that particular police department shows up at the range, obviously, if we're going to be shooting, I can bring the Glock 40 out and I can shoot a Glock, that they shoot, which is fine. But it'd be fun to also shoot a 1911. You know what I mean? Especially because sometimes they'll bring ammo.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's like we could have shoot offs or do things. You know what I mean? Like it's the same. Like, oh, here's your experience shooting this. You're going to shoot a Glock. You're going to qualify with a Glock. You're only going to be authorized to carry a Glock. But I'm running rings around you with a 40 caliber single stack. You want to try it? You know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
something, just fun. Just to do. So I finally got the 40 off my list. But I got to tell you, do you remember that Wilson that I sent you for sale on Gunbroker?
Yep.
Do you
That
remember?
the red one?
Yes. And
Yeah.
it was a red. I assume it was a CQB. I don't know what it was. But it was red. It was a 1911 5-inch red in 40 Smith and Wesson, and I think it was brand new. And I wish I'd bought that gun. And I've been chasing that gun ever since. That's why I found this custom shop gun from Springfield, which is more historically significant. But I kind of like the red gun. I kind of like the red gun. You hated it. I remember you had a fit. You were just, you were like barf. I think you actually said barf. I don't even remember.
Probably a lot worse.
Yeah, and it was you're like,
I'm
what
not
the
into
fuck?
the cotton candy colored guns.
Yeah, I mean, 40 caliber red gun. You're like, what the hell?
Well, you know what I told you on this one.
No, I don't
Remember
actually.
what I typed back and told you when you said you got it?
I
I
think
hope
you just,
I hope it has sharp edges.
yeah, and that's like, but that you're bringing up a good point though. That's kind of like why I wish, I had just bought that Wilson because like I have no idea how well dehorned a true Springfield custom shop 1911 is going to be dehorned. And the thing is, it's a custom shop 1911. If the dude didn't pay for it to be dehorned, it's going to be his box of razor blades because it's a custom gun. It's not a package gun.
Yeah.
And I started realizing when I ran across the gun and it was so cheap for what it was, and even kind of historically, which isn't that important to me, but it's kind of nice to have. This is a full custom Springfield Armory custom shop gun when Springfield Armory did full custom. And what I mean by that is you could send them stuff and they would build it. and it didn't have to be Springfield parts or Springfield anything or most things. And that's gone. Like they've shut that. I don't know. I don't even know if Springfield Custom Shop even really functions anymore.
I don't believe they do in what we would consider a custom shop gun. They just have different price points, and then they have a price point level on production guns that they like to kind of not outright advertise the custom shop gun, but allude to the fact that it's got custom shop features.
Yeah, I don't know. I am thinking that they maintain a two-tiered system, kind of like what Colt does. They've got a line of guns that are their production guns, and I think they have a line of guns that are their custom shop. But it's Springfield frames and slides and parts, but I think they hand build them.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's, maybe that's the professional. Maybe it's is there a TRP and a TRP professional? So maybe if they say professional on them, well, actually, I think they'll even say on the slide there'll be roll marked Springfield Custom Shop. The ones that are I think that are still kind of hand built.
yeah.
I think I don't if you're listening to this and I don't know shit about Springfield. Um, go ahead, hit us podcast at john1911.com, podcast at john1911.com, and set us straight. So anyway, after the 40 comes and we get it, hopefully it runs. Oh God. I mean, okay, let's take what do you think it'll run?
I think it's as much as I dog the 40, and it pains me to admit this. I think it's probably going to run pretty well, and I think you're probably going to be generally happy with it. But I honestly think you're way overthinking the rationale behind getting this gun. I think it honestly breaks down to I want to and I can,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm
and
going to get back
everybody
into
else can kick rocks.
yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get back into the 1911, I want to have different calibers.
Yeah.
Um, in the single stack because I like the single stack guns. The the double stack gun, the X9L is the real social gun, and the other ones are kind of like the hobby guns. But I'll tell you what, like I tell you, like the truth is, I've been eyeballing that 30 super carry as well. And it'd be a race to see which one I can't get ammo for sooner, the 40 or the 40 or the 30 super carry. It sounds like one of those horse races when the guy's like, and the 40's pulling ahead of the 40, here comes the 30 super carry. The 30 super carry's going to win the race of not having ammo available. All of a sudden, out of the back stretch comes 357 sig, 357 sig by length, 357 sig. So there's a gun you can't get. I actually, I have in the past, I have had a 357 SIG Commander.
Really?
Oh my God, I think it was a flame. It was a terrible gun. I mean, it was a well-made gun. I'm not going to say what it was a well-made gun from a custom shop, full custom. It came with two barrels with two calibers, and uh, it was a Commander and it was bobtailed, and it was ridiculous. The other caliber was 40. It was a 40 357 SIG switch barrel. And this thing would breathe fire. And it recoil. I mean, it was just terrible. It was a terrible gun, and it was just like, this thing sucks rocks. It's part of the reason why I only shoot 5 inch. Like, I generally buy the 5 inch guns because, like, if I want to shoot subsonic, if I want to shoot, the really powerful stuff, if I want to shoot, full blown NATO plus P, which is still semi spec, but the 5 inch guns, I can get the velocity and the mass and the whatever, and that's just
Now wait a minute. Didn't they warn you in the gun shop about shooting plus P ammo?
that wasn't me. That was one of our listeners. Yeah. I was like, yeah, to set him straight. Yeah,
I'm yanking your chain. That's
yeah.
one of my pet peeves.
Well, in their defense, there are guns that you shouldn't shoot plus P ammo in, but I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand is, and I have to realize that I'm saying this talking to you because you're a reloader. I am not a reloader, okay? And so, we had a bunch of the equipment and we were going to get into it, but it wasn't worth. It just sat for a decade and I just sold it all. When we moved the armor, I just sold it all. But
Yeah.
um you know reloading. To look up shit in the books and the powders and the power curves and the grains and the whatever and all this kind of stuff. As far as like the average schmo, basically all you need to know is like for 9mm is the ammo and SAMI spec, which is the uh, uh, small arms and ammunition manufacturing. What's the I stand for? Industry, as the small SAA, small arms and ammo manufacturing. I can't remember what the I stands for. Industry standards, but there's a published spec for 9mm in the United States for SAMI ammo, and guns are built to be SAMI compliant. Some of them will say whatever, but you have to remember, plus P 9mm is SAMI spec ammo. That's all you need to remember. When in doubt, plus P. Anything that's plus P plus, there's no such thing. So just don't worry. Any ammo you can buy in the United States, generally speaking, it's going to be fine in your gun, unless it's some little super lightweight little pocket rocket that on why you want to put plus P in there anyway. It's just a waste of powder. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of crazy.
I wouldn't feed a Taurus a steady diet of plus P, but people get the misconception that plus P ammo is this super major man stopper stuff. And basically all it is just loaded to a slightly higher pressure. Most of your premium carry ammo is running right in that same pressure curve anyway.
Sure.
So even though it's not marked plus P, if you break it down by the numbers, if it's not falling into plus P, it's really close. And if you
And
start looking at reloading manuals, the little itty bitty section for plus P, the velocities for the bullet weights are within knife fighting range of what, I would load up for, like a self defense round.
well, here's the thing: isn't 124 grain NATO ball ammo basically crosses over in the plus P on a SAMI spec, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like if you're shooting NATO ball, according to the SAMI spec, you're shooting a plus P ammo.
Yeah, you're
So
butting worst case, you're butting right up against it.
yeah, and it's just like it may not be exact, but you're basically there. It's like
Yeah, you're
this
in knife
isn't
fighting range.
you're not going to blow up your gun shooting NATO ball ammo. It's like oh yeah, okay, you're trying to tell me since 1986 or 1985 that you can't that all those Berettas they can't shoot the NATO 124 grain NATO ball ammo in those guns. They're all shooting Winchester white box. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think Winchester white box has a NATO stocking number, but 124 grain NATO ball certainly does. And and it's like those Berettas handle it fine. And anyone that's talking about well, those one Berettas that came apart, I think that on the Navy SEALs were shooting them. They were shooting some out of spec crazy ammo that apparently was so out of spec that it wasn't the gun's fault. The ammo was too hot and it broke some slides, and that became legend. All these guns will
Yeah.
send a piece of the slide in your face. I was
Well, and
like, what,
the Navy
whatever.
SEAL story was actually not so much the slides breaking. Uh, they were shooting some crazy hot loads because, well, it was DevGru, and they were outside the parameters of what is the Geneva Convention and the use of hollow points. They were counterterrorism, so they could work around the rules on the ammo, and they were shooting an ungodly number of rounds. The round count on those Berettas and the Smith 66s they had were just incredibly high.
Mm-hmm.
And the frames were getting fissures in them. So
Okay.
the actual slides blowing off of them, that's more FUD lore. I'm sure you could Google and somebody somewhere's blown one up, but the actual stories that got real famous for that time, it was actually frame fissures.
So basically, no different than the U.S. Marine Corps M45 CQB pistol that they
Yep,
just officially dumped. It was cracking too. It was cracking frames.
yep.
That,
My
that gun
first
that gun was going
lightweight
down off the.
commander cracked one.
No, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. It's
Yeah,
not. It's not. It's not hard. It's not uncommon to crack an aluminum frame 45 caliber gun, especially with a shorter slide. It's not unheard of.
no,
Um, it's just not. I mean, you want a gun that kind of stings a little bit to shoot it, an alloy frame commander, buddy, or the alloy little officer's gun that like Kimber used. I think everyone still makes them. And
oh
45,
God,
oh my god. I mean, I'm not. Oh my god, they're not like 44 Magnum, but it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're just wasting powder and recoil, and it just was stupid. The whole thing was stupid. So. Hey, off the top of your head, do you know, since you're Mr. Reloader guy, do you know what the PSI number is for 9mm and 40? It's like
not
20,
without looking it up, but off the top of my head, I would
like
say
30,000.
no, no. You're probably in the 15-ish range without looking it up.
Let me see here. The reason I'm
Which,
asking is, well, go ahead.
go ahead, because I'm looking it up as we speak.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. You look it up. Why look it up? The other caliber I'm comparing it to. So the 30 Super Carry, which is the 32 caliber round that they've come out with. You can get 10 rounds in a single stack 1911, which is the other gun I'm kind of interested in, but it's like, we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't run it full time, but like, I don't know, the idea of a single stack with more bullets in it. It's like, well, if you get 10 in it, 10 plus 1 gets you 11. Then it's like, well, then maybe somebody could make a plus 2 a plus 2 single stack magazine, and then you're at the 14. You know what I mean? Like, or you get
Hmm.
12. You get 30. No, what is it? So 30 super carry in a single stack, you get 12 rounds. Plus 1 is 13. Then if you did a plus 2 gun, then you're at 15 rounds. I mean, just as an old man reaching out into the universe to the listener out there, I want you to just think of something. I'm running the streets with an 8-shot, 8+1 single stack 45 caliber gun, and I'm surrounded by either high cap, Cincinnati police 59 series guns, or 39, whatever they were, the Smith and Wesson guns,
Hmm.
or Glock 19s, and I'm surrounded by 15 round guns. You know what I mean? These high cap Wonder Nines, and in 2023, I'm within striking distance of 15 rounds in a single stack 1911 that hopefully wouldn't have a retarded long magazine sticking out of the bottom of it. And it's like,
Yeah.
that is like, my lizard brain is like, ooh, I want to go down that road. I am super curious about that. But
Speaking of
what's the
lizard brains, I just looked up and 124 grain, 27-ish to 32-ish without getting into plus P range. So I was off a little bit. That's on
so
9
what
millimeter.
the 30 27 to 30? I knew it was about 30. I figured it was about 30. So, and you have the number for 40 and
Hold
45?
on here. 45. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, it makes stretch. This is where I do the song and dance for the list. Yeah, a quiet podcast doesn't really keep people entertained. Sorry, I'm going. I promise you, everybody, that I'm going somewhere with this, and we didn't rehearse this. We didn't know we were going to do this. If Kraken knew I was going to be asking him for PSI numbers, he would have pulled them up ahead of time. So, but to give you, I'm gonna give the payoff here. The 30 super carry. I'm reading this off the internet. The 30 Super Carry, the round was initially released by Federal, was loaded for 45,000 pounds, 45,000 psi. The maximum average pressure rating for this cartridge is 52,000. It's now over 50,000 psi. I mean, this thing is screaming,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't know. Like, I've never heard anybody say, like, I don't know, is 30 super carry, like if you shoot that gun, if you were to shoot 30 super carry in your house, because I know Smith and Wesson makes one in like a little mini shield, these little pocket rocket guns. You to shoot that gun in your house with a full house self defense load. Are you fucking deaf? Like, how loud are these guns?
Oh,
And
it's
Kyrie,
yeah. You'll have blood coming out of your ears.
did you get the
That
numbers
was the
from?
one thing they never told us in the Navy was if you got to start, lighting off rounds inside the hull of the ship, you're going to be deaf for life.
Oh
You're
yeah,
you're
yeah,
basically in a steel can,
yeah,
45, 230 grain 45, uh, anywhere from 16 to about 19.8 psi.
yeah. Pretty low pressure round. And what's 40?
Yep, 40. I'll have to look up, but yeah, my screen froze for whatever reason. There
So
we go.
it's okay. I just was like, I'm curious.
40's going to be higher pressure, but
Yeah, I just was. The number I'm getting is the 40 Smith and Wesson operates at a relatively high pressure of of 33,000 psi, but with a max of 35,000. So the max load, the 40 load that you shoot in your Glock 22 that plasma jets down through the trigger and cuts your trigger finger in half and cripples you in your police career, that round is loaded to 33,000 psi. And the 30 super carry is 45 and 52.
yeah.
It's like
40
this
is
thing.
anywhere from, with the 180s, is anywhere from about 27.7 to about 32.5.
Yeah, I've got
And
it.
the thing you have to be careful when you're, especially if you're looking at reloading manuals,
Mm-hmm.
is you can, even with the same bullet, just switching powders, there's two different measurements. There's PSI and then there's CUP.
Yeah.
So you have to compare apples to apples. I don't pay too much attention to pressure. Uh,
Isn't the it
I stay within the load data and look for pressure signs versus
is it
worrying about
isn't the
what pressure
CP
is.
like the measurement that they came up with for like some kind of copper cup
Yeah,
that would deform a cup? Like that's the way they used to measure it back in the old days where they had computers, right? They would.
yeah, it's like a piezo cup crush test.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That thing. Yeah. See. Yeah. You're a reloader, so I'm not. So anyway, I bought a 40. I don't know why.
Yeah, but one
Um.
will be about half of the other. So you have to really be careful if you're trying to stay within certain pressure guidelines. You have to really be careful and look at your load data and make sure that oh, that's a lower pressure. Well, it's lower pressure because of CUP.
Yeah. Hey, have you? There's been a bunch of lawsuits that the ATF's been losing the past couple of years. By chance, have you followed? I know that there was the. I've been so busy, but I know that I guess the 80%, the ATF was trying to change 80% receivers,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess one of the courts basically they basically threw the whole thing out. They said that you have no authority to do this because I guess they were trying to change what the definition of a receiver was so they could regulate it so people couldn't make ghost guns. And,
Yeah.
because in case you don't know this, if you're a non-gun person, listen to this podcast. It's been legal. It has been legal to make for homemade firearms in the United States since before the country existed, and all the gun laws were written with the understanding that you're still allowed to make your own guns at home because it's so ingrained in our culture that you can make your own guns. And the ATF tried to change that just in the past couple of years. And I guess one of the things that they were trying to do is the idea of an 80% receiver, which is, how do you even measure that? It's like, well, they're trying to say that this item is not a receiver, but now we're going to say that we're going to regulate it like it is a receiver. And so what was happening logically is they were trying to argue at the same time it is not a receiver, but it is a receiver. And the court was like, you can't fucking do that. Like this, your argument for this just collapses. So, because what it is, the ATF, they don't have the law. The Congress has to write the laws. So the 80% receiver thing, I guess, is blown up. So, which I guess is good news. And I don't know what the other one. Do you remember what the other one was?
Bump stocks.
Oh, was that finally over? Our bump stocks?
Well, it's a chapter of it's over. They got a similar ruling where the courts basically said you just can't make up definitions and make up laws, even though we depend upon you for definitions a lot of the time. You just can't go making stuff up to suit whatever rule you want to make. That has to go through Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of in limbo right now. It's in that never land. Uh, just like the 80% case, it's probably going to be appealed up. So will bump stocks. So right now, technically, the way I understand it, bump stocks are legal again. Uh, would I want to test that theory with ATF? No. Uh, but it's working its way through the court system also.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, so this case, I would seriously doubt. Like, I guess I don't know which district court did the 80% receiver thing, but I guess it would be a judge, and then they would appeal it to the three-judge panel, and then they could ask to go to an en banc hearing, which is en banc, which is the entire court, the entire district court judges. They sit and review the case, but they can choose to not to hear that, and the Supreme Court doesn't have to hear it either. So if it's vacated, and I think the appellate court, obviously they can do an appeal, but there comes a point very quickly where if a higher court doesn't want to take the case, if they consider the decision of lower court stands. And so
Yeah.
the Supreme Court can basically be like, or the en banc, they can be like, yeah, we're not listening, or this is over. The decision has been made.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll
It
just
was a
have to see.
court out of Texas, so I believe it would go to the Fifth Circuit. And then, like you said, they can choose to not hear it. They can say no. The lower court's got the ruling right.
Yeah, they can appeal it. You can definitely get an appeal, and then after that, you can seek relief. Uh, you can take it up, but like the en banc, I don't think is automatic, and then above that is the Supreme Court, and that's definitely not automatic. Like they can choose
No.
to not hear stuff. And the thing, like a lot of people don't understand, like they can like the Supreme Court can choose to hear cases, or they can choose to not hear cases. But what they can also do is they can quote send cases back to a lower court with like kind of like, you may need to revisit this. You know what I mean? Where they're like,
Yeah.
we don't like quite what we're seeing here. You need to make sure that you're on firm legal footing with this decision, which is normally a clue It's like, ooh, we better revisit this case because the Supreme Court could overturn this. And or they can just be like, no, it's over. So, they don't have to. They don't. It's not. You don't. They don't have to hear every case that comes up. If they
Yeah.
just refuse to hear a case, if the case comes, they refuse to hear it, it's over. It's like, well, they let it stand. Or they may say that the issues are not right for us to determine, some national constitutional, issue here. So,
Yeah.
whatever. So some of it gets kind of, you know, the lawsuits and the ATF and the shit that's been going on. It gets kind of old. It's sometimes it's really hard to follow it. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's why we have lawyers.
Well, and ATFs, this isn't the first time they've made up rules, waffled back and forth on a couple of decisions, and then had it go to court. I mean, if you go clear back to the early '90s when SKSs were becoming hugely popular, and you could go to any local gun shop in America and buy one for like $75. They were coming with the bayonets on them, and ATF came up with some ruling that, and I forget exactly how it was worded, but basically, if the bayonet was attached to it, uh, it became, I don't remember if it became an assault weapon under the assault weapons ban, or uh, they came up with some ruling basically that you couldn't buy the SKS or an AK with the bayonet attached to it. So you went and you bought the SKS, and then there was a bucket full of the spiked bayonets that were being sold as tent spikes. And that's how literally that's how everybody got around it in this area. So for every SKS you bought, you got a free tent spike. Just don't do anything with it till you leave the gun shop. And then they came out and they said, well, maybe it's okay to put bayonets on them, I suppose. And then they
Mm-hmm.
waffled again, and they went back and forth 2 or 3 times on that. And finally, I think the court stepped in and said that just having a bayonet on it isn't enough to make that an illegal firearm, and that settled it once and for all.
That all kind of rings a bell, but like I've definitely heard the term tent spike before, and so I
Yeah.
guess that's where it comes from. So, the back and forth, waffling back and forth on these issues, it kind of reminds me of a certain coach in college basketball. He just doesn't know when to quit.
I quit. No, I don't. Yeah, I did. No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm talking about Bob, a follow-up to our conversation about Bob Huggins, old Huggy Bear, former coach at the University of Cincinnati, basketball coach. He got shit-faced. He was shit-faced here in Cincinnati a lot, but then he went over to West Virginia. It's been there forever. I think he took one of their teams to the Final Four. He got shit-faced in Boston a couple weeks ago, and he immediately resigned. And now he has sent a letter to the university. Bob Huggins says he never resigned as West Virginia's coach and wants his job back. It's like, oh my God. Like, they've already promoted another coach, and it's like, oh no, Huggy Bear. No, dude. Like, maybe it's for money. I don't know what what they're thinking. You know, I mean, I don't know what he can't have his job back. I mean, he's such a drunk. He's going to die from it. I mean, there's just no way. Huggins' Cleveland-based attorney David A. Campbell wrote the university Friday that Huggins, quote, never signed a resignation letter and never communicated a resignation to anyone at West Virginia University, according to the letter, which was obtained by the AP. The letter threatened a lawsuit if Huggins isn't reinstated. Huggins' demand was first reported by West Virginia network Metro News, old Metro News. Huggins was charged with driving under the influence in Pittsburgh on June 16th. His breath test determines Huggins' blood alcohol treatment was more than twice the legal limit. His resignation was announced by the university the following night. A week later, assistant coach Josh Ellert was promoted to interim head coach for the 2023-2024 season. Campbell's letter said the university announced Huggins' resignation, quote, based on a text message from Coach Huggins' wife. to Steve Uraz. Uraz? Oh my God, dude. There's a dude that works at the university, Western University. His name is Steve Uraz. You
You just
you
can't
are
make that up.
YASC. Uraz. West Virginia's deputy athletic director. The university responded to the Campbell in a letter Sunday that read in part, "We frankly are confused by the allegations within the letter." So basically, it's like, can you text or not text? Can you sign a contract or not sign a contract in a text message? I don't know. That's probably defined in the contract that Huggins signed, but I do know that there was a case um, within the past probably 2 weeks where somebody was talking to a vendor where I don't know, like, whatever it was, like, they're buying widgets, 10,000, 100,000, a million. Like, it's a lot of money. And the company was like, hey, like, I think that maybe the guy was like, the customer was like, hey, I need a quote on this. And they've been buying from him for years. And the company's like, here's the quote, here's the number we got. And the customer sent a thumbs up emoji. And the manufacturer took that as, they want them, so they made them, or they did whatever they were going to do. And then when they went to ship them and charge the customer's like, I never ordered these. I never agreed to this. Well, the court ruled that thumbs up emoji, yes, you did. And I think they probably went through previous messages too. Like, this is how you conduct business. You thumbs up this order, you thumbs up that order. And it's like, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So I guess, so Bob Huggins, who doesn't know when to quit, I guess to be cool with the kids, like, is it safe to say he is not quiet quitting? Is that too much? Is that too much of a dad joke? He is not, he does, he's not quiet quitting. So come on, you got to help me out here, because I got to figure out titles for the podcast. You got to come up with some shit face stuff to say so we can come up with podcast titles.
I I think that's probably a money play for old Huggy. I think he's
Yeah.
looking for a buyout. Just from what I've seen from other college coaches that have fallen to scandals like that, uh, they know they can't come back and coach that team. He's just looking for a payoff.
Yeah,
There's probably some type of morals clause in his contract, and by his wife saying he quit, and uh, it probably takes care of his buyout. So he's like, holy crap, I'm missing out on however many millions my buyout would be. So I need to try and hold their feet to the fire.
yeah. Dude, he needs to check into a drunk tank. Like, no kidding, no fooling. Bob Huggins is going to drink himself to death. You look at him and you're just like, I haven't looked at him in years, because I don't follow most collegiate sports, and my father went to West Virginia, I didn't. And you look at the guy and you're like, whoa. He's got that flushed alcoholic look. Like, he
Yeah.
looks really bad, and you're just like, that guy's shit faced. Like, right now, that look you see every Saturday night on the side of the road. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the fucking look. It was like, dude, oh God, or the guy, the drunk that he the alcoholic that's drinking himself to death. That, like, literally you watch him, and he every step is a heel toe, because it's taking all of his motor skills to just walk down the sidewalk to walk home from the bar. See those old
Yep.
guys, and it's like, that's what I mean. Bob Huggins. The only thing that keeps Bob Huggins from looking like that guy is he's overweight. He's not wasted away to, like, he's just drinking alcohol and not eating. He's obviously still getting calories, but it's like, there is no way. Like, I don't know. Like, he can't. I'm sure Bob Huggins probably was doing commercials for car dealerships and all these promotional things. It's like, man, he can't do any of that right now. It's just, he's probably, I don't know. I'm curious what his financial situation's like. Maybe he needs money.
I'm sure he was making a ton of money, but making it's the easy part, keeping it's the hard part. So, if his life has spiraled down that far, who knows, what kind of decisions he's made with his money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's
He
just.
might literally be piss broke.
See, that did cross my mind. It did. I mean, yeah. I'm 51. How old is Bob Huggins? He's got to be 60. I don't know. Maybe is Bob Huggins 70? I mean, let me see here. Bob. Let's
He's
see
probably
here.
closer to 70 than 60.
Oh God, yeah. Let me see here. That's the wrong thing.
But then
Still
again,
look
that's hard to tell because when somebody leads that lifestyle, I've seen some 40-year-olds that look 65, 70 years old.
69 years old. He's
Yeah, so he's right up there.
yeah. He's not. I mean, it's like, dude. I mean, what are you doing? It's like, you know. I
And
mean,
at this point, is rehab really going to help somebody like that? Because
I don't know.
I'm sure this isn't something that's just developed in the last few years.
Oh no. Oh no. Bob. No. No. Bob
Yeah. So I
Huggins.
mean,
University of Cincinnati was covering for Bob Huggins 15 years ago, 20
exactly.
years ago.
So
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
there's no helping his liver. I mean,
That might be the title. Holy shit. there, there it is. Continue.
there's no helping his liver. It is what it is, and at that point, you're basically you're going to die an old drunk. So you just well enjoy it.
I don't
He's
know.
he's he's never going to coach at any major level again. And physically, and he's old enough that what else can he do? He's going to sit around and drink and wait till the day comes and probably preach about his old glory days to anybody that'll sit around to listen and drink his beer with him.
Yeah, I don't know where Bob Huggins' center of gravity in his life is because like athletes kind of have that. They have that. Wherever you made your bones, if you became a famous athlete in a particular market, it kind of behooves you to stay in that market even after you retire because you can monetize off of your reputation.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, is Bob Huggins? Listeners at home, if you live in Morgantown or you got dialed into West Virginia politics, which my grandfather's rolling over in his grave that I have to say that for reasons I don't want, because like they all knew West Virginia sports. Trust me, my family did. But I don't know. Is like Bob Huggins like a big deal in Morgantown? I mean, is he a celebrity or is he in hiding? Like, is he going home hiding drunk and they're wheeling him around, or going, was he going out places? Because he's 69, he's not 49. He's not going to the nightclubs, is he? Like, is Bob Huggins cruising the chicks with the 21-year-old college basketball player? Like, is he going the ladies' night with his players? On
who
Thursdays.
who was the college football coach that definitely was old enough to know better, but did
Shit,
he
that's
own a
all of
bar
them.
or got caught go? Yeah, was it Urban Meyer? Got caught doing some unseemly things with a bar patron
What's that Urban
and got
Meyer?
caught.
That's up at Ohio State, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of triangulated because there's Urban Meyer up north of us. Then there's Huggy Bear, which was here. Then he went east of us, and then south of us we had Rick Pitino going ape shit
yeah.
down there in Louisville. And I mean Rick Pitino, dude, the Rick Pitino shit was out of control. Dude, the Rick Pitino shit it was off the fucking chain. I mean, they were basically running hookers through that basketball program for those students.
Yeah,
I mean, it was bad, and it all came out because a couple of the girls wrote. One of the girls wrote a book, and I read it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like who knew? Like if I had, the things I know now that I'm older, if I had known when I was younger, like when I was younger, when I was in high school, I should have just taken French instead of Spanish, because it would have helped, it helps with the girls. And then, but I was too, I was like, it was Mr. Practical was like, well, you should take Spanish because it's the most, most practical, because so many people speak Spanish. And it's like, all right, I'll take Spanish because whatever. And I should have taken French. And then I get the college and I took Russian. That was fucking stupid. Then the goddamn Cold War ended. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm a moron. Like, and I'm surrounded by all these guys, guys and girls that are all taking all these Arabic and Farsi languages all through the global war on terror, and it's like none of the shit I ever studied ever came in handy. And then, I should have, apparently I didn't know that uh, uh, the basketball programs, if you play basketball, they 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 give you hookers. Like, who knew? Like, I did not know that the guys on the basketball team were that was where the craziness was going. Like, I knew they kind of went with football and Big Ten football, but I had no idea that they were running girls through these basketball programs. And you know, it's going to be real. It's going to, the Rick Pitino thing was so off the chain, and Urban Meyer up there, the stuff up there I think they clamped down a lot of that coming out. What was going on up there at Ohio State? You wonder if, like, is the Bob Huggins story the end of a long sad tale, or is it the cork that's going to come off the bottle where all the shit's going to come out? You know what I mean?
It's very possible, and I think that's across a lot of different collegiate sports. I don't think that's I'd like to make a joke. Is there something in the water out there, or what's the deal? But that kind of stuff happens all over the country. We just got them basically dealing with it here in Nebraska with our head football coach.
What
Uh,
happened out there?
well, back in the '90s, in the '80s and '90s, Nebraska was a powerhouse program in football. We couple national championships, Big Eight champion pretty much every year unless Oklahoma got us.
Which one
And
is called the Cornhuskers?
that's us.
That's
That's
so you're the
Cornhuskers.
Cornhuskers. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that name. So okay.
And then Tom Osborne retires after winning a few national championships and, uh, got elected to Senate. I'm pretty sure they nominated him to run for God, but, I don't know what happened there. Democrats, early voting, whatever. And then they've been through a string of coaches, and they've just been a shit team ever since. Well, the quarterback that led them to two national championships in the mid '90s got a coaching job down at UCF, like University of Central Florida,
Uh-huh.
uh, which was like, I think it's a D2 school. It's the next level down from like Ohio State, Nebraska, and he basically fell into a sweet deal and took a team and won a national championship at that level and was undefeated. So Nebraska's like, oh my God, we'll throw millions of dollars at Scott Frost, and the patron saint of Nebraska football can come be our head coach and resurrect the program. And they threw an ungodly
Mm.
amount of money at him, and he was just a train wreck.
Yep. You could
Uh,
already. Yep. They wanted it to happen. They tried to make it happen. Yeah.
and just the propaganda around it. I mean, the first year that I'd like to have the money they made just off selling frost warning T-shirts preseason. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and the program just tanked, uh, like 3-8 for the season, just horrible. And it started getting out finally, when people started kind of calling for his head, and the alumni system runs the football program. Anybody tells you any different, they're full of shit because
Oh.
that's where the money really is.
Oh. Hell yeah, they do. Hell's yeah, they do.
And once they threw him under the bus, then the story started actually getting out. He would miss practices for days on end. Allegedly, uh, had a sexual affair with a co-ed or two.
I mean,
Horrible
thank God.
drinking
That, I
problem.
mean, at
The
this
whole
point,
nine
it's like,
yards.
thank God it's a girl. It's like, it's like,
Right. So they paid him like, I don't know. I think they've got to pay him something like $10 or $15 million on his contract buyout,
oh
and
man.
once they finally got rid of him, uh, it got so bad if he finished out the last season, they gave him a 1-year contract extension. It got so bad that if he didn't basically take them to a bowl game, which you have to win 6 games to be eligible,
Okay.
then his contract would not get renewed, and they only had to give him like a $5 million payout. The on-field performances were so bad, and then combined with everything that was finally, I mean, even the hardcore Husker fans had to start saying, well, I know a guy that works in the football program, and they've said da 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 da. They whacked him like in the third game of the season and had to pay him the full $15 million. There was just so much
Oh man,
stuff getting out.
they took him out to the back of the shed and put a bullet in the back of his head in the middle of the season. Ooh.
Locker room, like right after he. I think he got to ride the team bus back to campus, but as I recall, the story is before they had left the stadium, he had been notified that his services were no longer required. Just almost to and don't worry about your shit in the office. We've already got it in milk crates and we'll send it to your house.
Holy shit. They
It
sent him.
was it was really bad. It was not a graceful. We've come to a mutual understanding for the benefit of the pro. It was no, you're gone, fucker.
Now,
You're dragging us down too much.
I think the new title of the podcast will be the bus ride of shame. So I think that's going to be it. It's like, yeah, I think I think you're doing good. You're doing good.
With the bus ride of shame with Huggy at the wheel.
Yeah. Bold strategy, Cotton. You're definitely pulling that off. So, hey, I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true.
I
I don't know
did
if you
not
heard.
know her.
Okay.
It
Um,
wasn't me.
um, that I guess Jim Jordan and somebody else on the Judiciary Committee in Congress are basic because the FBI has been trying to build a new FBI headquarters for years, and this is like this was even going on when Trump was president because Trump had the post office. They turned into the post office up there. They turned into a hotel, and the FBI building is kind of real prime real estate in downtown Washington, and so they want to move it and make it bigger and move out maybe into Northern Virginia or into Maryland, and it's like really like I mean it doesn't need to be in Maryland, but NSA basically is all out there, but um, the Republican congressmen were saying we are thinking about maybe having you move your FBI headquarters to Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I've heard worse ideas. And I don't think that's an entirely a bad move. And then we're like, where in Alabama are they going to move it? And it's like Redstone Arsenal. And I'm like, well, shit, I know Redstone. And then it turns out the FBI already has a bunch of facilities there, a bunch of operations at that location, which isn't uncommon to see like agencies kind of, distribute things around the country, and they did this a lot for continuity of government and other things. And so apparently there's enough FBI shit at Redstone Arsenal right now that it is already considered a secondary FBI headquarters. And it's like, whoa, they could really do this. And first Kimber move to Alabama? Kimber's in Alabama.
Not sure on that one.
I think Kimber moved to Alabama, and we're waiting to see if Alabama will straighten out Kimber, and we may have to send the FBI down there to whip their asses into shape. Alabama, you better lay into that ass. You get them Kimber boys to learn how to tune an extractor, and you better get them FBI boys to learn what the Constitution is. So I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think that's actually a good idea. And I think there should be more of that. distributing agencies throughout the country. I mean, I think that would be a good thing. I mean, I don't know. You could maybe make an argument the security for some of the communications might be a little, but I mean, the military does it.
Yeah, but
You
you
know what I
could
mean?
spread that out. You can have communications hubs in more secure locations, and you could go to Alabama and you could set up secure communications. I mean, shit, that's what they do. It's not one of those, nope, can't respond because it's outside of DC and we don't have secure communications, so you're on your own. If they want to, they can do it and they can make it work. But to me, it kind of gets back to that. If you got 5 boys that are troublemakers in the 6th grade, what's the first thing teacher does?
Separates them.
Exactly. So I don't think it's a conspiracy theory to wonder if there's not some shadiness going on within the FBI.
Oh, there
So
is.
to
Oh,
me,
oh, oh, oh. Yeah, there is obviously
I was
problems in the
trying to be,
Yeah. Look, I have gone on this podcast and made the logical argument for disbanding the FBI. And not that I want to do it, but you can really make the point that it is not an organization that is actually functioned well. And it's
no,
historically not been an organization that has bathed itself in glory, even under the auspices of its founder, J. Edgar Hoover. We just happen to have been lucky enough that the director of the FBI was more interested in being a closeted homosexual and then with fucking with the country.
yeah,
Whereas now we apparently have a lot of people that work in the FBI headquarters that want to fuck with the country. And that's not a good thing because that's the way the FBI is set up. I mean, you could, I mean, in the United Kingdom, the, the the analog to the FBI doesn't exist because
no,
like the FBI has they have MI5, MI6. They've got which is the intelligence. There's the Foreign Intelligence Service. There's the Domestic Intelligence Service, and then they've got Scotland Yard, which is their chief law enforcement. I think Scotland Yard considered their chief?
yeah,
Maybe not, but it's a pretty high, like it's like their high national.
as high as you're going to get, really.
I think it's. Someone from the United Kingdom set me straight on this, but you guys over there break this shit up. Where in the United States, the FBI does. They do intelligence, counterintelligence. They do law enforcement. They do organized crime. They do intelligence, counterintelligence overseas.
Yep,
They
terrorism,
absolutely they
counterterrorism.
absolutely do, and it's like the FBI is so unbelievably powerful and so wrapped up in so many things that if you get groups from different departments or branches coordinating, which obviously has been going on, it's like, man, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, Alabama, here we come, like, squeal, boy, squeal. I mean, it's like, can get them. I
I don't
mean,
think it's a horrible idea.
it's but like, okay, all right, okay, let's think about this logically. HRT, which is the national. It's the national. It's how does I can't remember how the FBI how they position the HRT. They call them their tier one national response unit. Is that what they? Because they've got the regional FBI teams or SWAT teams, FBI SWAT, but then they've got their HRT is based in Washington or it's outside. I don't exactly know exactly. I can't remember. I remember the guy
Quantico,
that
isn't it?
is it a Quantico or is it
I think
even?
it's
Yeah,
Quantico.
I think it. You know what? You're right. It is probably a Quantico. You're right. I had a brain fart. Danny Colson founded the FBI. I
Yep.
can't believe I know that name off the top of my head. Um, but even if FBI headquarters were to move, HRT would probably stay in Washington. And then it's like, well, would FBI headquarters, would the FBI Academy stay in Washington? Probably. I mean, what are you moving? What I mean, like the FBI headquarters is not Quantico. And Quantico isn't Quantico. People don't realize Quantico is, Quantico is a multi-use facility. The Marines use it, the FBI use it. A lot of agencies and groups use Quantico.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, like, what would they, like, I doubt they'd move HRT. HRT would probably stay there. All the forensics labs and the professional law enforcement schools, that fancy school that the cops, they get invited to go attend, and it's a big prestigious thing.
That's
At
in
Quantico.
Georgia, isn't it? The National Law Enforcement Academy.
Nah, that's
That's in New
FLETC.
Smyrna, isn't it?
The FLETC school is. God, I was right there. Where was I? I think
Not
it's
New
out.
New
It's
Smyrna,
out.
Georgia.
I think it's kind of down there near some of those military bases.
Okay.
Um, if I recall, but it's FLETC. But no, the there's they run the academy at there. They run their I'm talking Quantico. They run their academy. They run that law enforcement education training thing. Um, they do a lot of stuff up there. It's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, if they moved headquarters, what would be the definition of headquarters? Would there be headquarters divisions that would move? So, like, would the chief of counterintelligence, the division, that's probably a headquarters billet. That would probably
Hmm.
have to go to Alabama, right? And maybe like if there's like an organized crime or some kind of, whatever, that would probably go to Alabama. Like, they wouldn't, I mean, you're just not going to move the director and the assistant director and their people. They're going to move a lot of these command elements down there too.
Yeah. I would think it would be the command administrative elements would get sent to Alabama. Places like the lab, that it's just not feasible to move that. The training facilities, not feasible to move that. HRT headquarters, but they're not what is perceived as the problem.
Well, you
Uh,
could easily see an
America
argument.
trusts the crime lab.
Well, but you
They
know
don't
what?
trust the deep state of the FBI.
But you know what? Like, the thing is, you can make an argument, a center of gravity on stuff. A lot of people, I'm gonna help Alabama here. Redstone Arsenal is, I mean, that's the United States Army rocket forces shit. NASA
Hmm.
runs out of Alabama. I mean, like, there's a lot of technology, and there's a lot of really smart people in Alabama.
Oh yeah,
They've got that, even that the Aberdeen, was that Aberdeen down there? Where's Aberdeen at? What's the
that's
one?
Maryland, isn't it?
No, there's one. What's the
No,
one down there?
Aberdeen's New Mexico, isn't it?
No, I'm trying.
Okay,
There's one
now
where
I
they
got to
were.
look.
There's one where they were doing all the chemical. They were burning up all the chemical weapons. Um, but there's a lot of smart people, and then it's like, okay, and there's a lot of technology, and there's, like, you can see Alabama kind of turning into that technology corridor that they talk about in North Carolina. It's not quite to that level in Alabama, but it really could be. And think about this. How many people, I'm just curious, how many people that work at the FBI with their families, if they have to go to Washington and they go out to whatever, would love to move out of Washington to go to Alabama? I'm sure
Oh,
there's
in a
some,
heartbeat.
I'm sure there's a lot that wouldn't, because let me tell you something, living in Washington, if you have money, is awesome. But, raising a
It takes a
family is
lot of money.
It takes a lot of money, and it's there's cola and everything too, but I get it. But I think you could, depending on what kind of lifestyle you want, there would certainly be a group of people that would love to live in Alabama, because they're not living their best life in Washington. They're just getting
Hmm.
by in Washington. You know what I mean? They're having to commute all the way in. It's just so expensive, and it's like, I don't know, like, you could see a groundswell, and then what would happen is the headquarters elements would move, and then you know, they would start building up facilities. You would very easily see, you know, students or, FBI candidates. You'd have to go to the headquarters. I wouldn't be surprised if they would set up like a small little, mini course, like, hey, you got to come here and do PT. You got to come here and do this, got to whatever. And then eventually, I wouldn't be at all surprised. Like if they put the FBI headquarters in Alabama near Redstone, it's a secure facility. Um, you could easily see a point where you're like, we're moving. I can see the FBI. I can 100% see the FBI labs, technology labs, and the crime labs, and all that moving to Redstone down there now. I 100% could see that within my
Over
lifetime.
time, over
Over
time,
time, I really could because.
I would think you'd have to get administrative down there first and get that all established, and then you could start piecing it together.
Mhm. And there's
Or
also
or even opening up, because the lag time on getting stuff back from the crime lab anymore is incredible, unless it's a hot case. So I could even go as far as seeing a second crime lab opening up down there.
you could see a little mini crime lab, but here's what happens. This is how organizations work. If that is where the headquarters is at, that's where the juice is at. And and if you have a department and you want to have access to the juice, the closer you want to be to the juice box. And so you could easily see some little department guys being like, "Well, we were kind of slotting you guys to stay here at Quantico." Be like, "No, no, no. We would love to go to Alabama." And then those guys start getting more money and get more
Hmm.
access. And you start, I don't know, like I could really see this being a thing, you know? I mean, I don't
Well, and
think
you
you would
just you
move
just made the whole argument for moving them down there,
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think it's fan-fucking-tastic. Let me tell you
getting them
something. I
away
think,
from the money and the power and the influence of DC.
look, I just feel like FBI agents with a slight Southern twang are better agents. I think diversity is our strength, and we need agents with more Southern mannerisms. And I think we'd all be better for it. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I like that idea quite a
I
bit.
like the idea. Uh, and I just Googled Aberdeen's in Maryland.
Yeah, what's the one in Alabama?
Uh,
I knew someone that worked at both,
yeah.
and they were at Aberdeen, and they went to the one. It wasn't Redstone. I can't remember. No, it's great. People don't want to hear this. It's not a great podcast for people, but whatever. Um, hey, speaking of the FBI, we got to talk about something. And I don't watch the regular news. Have you watched any Fox News?
Not as much here very recently, just because of my work schedule. But yeah, I get a pretty good intake of Fox News
Is
along with the
is
other
is
channels.
Fox News covering? Have they even mentioned that they have been sued by Ray Epps?
No, not that I'm aware of. And the whole Tucker Carlson thing, they're pretty mum on. And they just announced they shook up their whole evening lineup. So
Yeah, I heard. I was
there's
betting money
definitely
that.
been some repercussions from all of that.
Yeah, I had bet money. Was it to you or Danny that Sean Hannity was going to retire? But apparently he's not. So I have to eat crow on that one. But um,
Well, he's big enough that retirement might still be the ultimate play there. They may just be letting him go out gracefully, because
yeah.
they moved him up an hour. So he's in the eight, what would be my time, 8 to 9 p.m. slot now,
Oh,
or
so
nine to 10.
he's in the old Tucker Carlson slot.
No, uh,
Oh, he's in a slot after.
they moved Jesse Waters up into the Tucker time slot,
Okay.
and they dropped Laura Ingraham down to
Poor Laura.
basically Jesse Waters. Yeah, she came out the worst for wearing this. They moved her into Jesse Waters' time slot, which is, the hour pre-prime time. And then they moved Greg Gutfeld down with his late night comedy political show to the 9 to 10 o'clock time slot, Central Time.
Really?
Yeah,
So what time is that? So Greg Gutfeld, Eastern Standard Time is now on. Is that 11? What was he
yeah.
on
No, it'd
before?
be 10 o'clock your time. He was on at 11 o'clock your time.
Wow, good for him. I'll tell you
But
what,
he's just waxing everybody in the late night ratings.
I've heard rumors that one, he's doing very well. He's apparently beating Colbert and all these people.
Yep.
But also apparently because there's a writer's strike, and they have all these writers, and there's a huge carrying cost for all of these these other late night shows, because there's all this staff and people do whatever, and apparently Greg Gutfeld may not even have writers. Like, apparently, I think the Greg Gutfeld show, all these other shows have gone off the air because of the
Mm-hmm.
SAG and writers strike, or whatever. One of those is the Writers Guild, Writers Guild of America. They're going on strike.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Gutfeld, they're like, yeah, we're just keep on going because it's just him and his whatever people, and they're not part of a writer. They don't have writers. They're not part of like, they're not part of Writers Guild of America. They're political news junkies and
Yeah,
flunkies, and it's
he
like,
writes a
wow,
lot of his own stuff, and he goes off script so much. I mean, you can just tell it's off script. Uh, my wife has actually watched it a few times. It's probably the only Fox show that she likes to watch. And
mm-hmm.
she's looked at me more than once, and she says, "Are they just drunk or are they high?" Because they come up with such off the wall. They go off on tangents. Uh, and they actually addressed the whole screenwriter strike, and they made it very clear. Basically, yeah, go strike all you want. It's your money. We don't need you anyway. So you're
Yeah.
right on the money with that.
Do they still have? I have a confession to make. Do they still have? There's a girl. She would show up. She's one of the floating people, but she doesn't do a whole lot on Fox. Is her name Kat Tempf?
Yep, she's
Kat.
on Gutfeld every night.
I think she's. I don't know if her last name's Tempf anymore.
Tim,
Um.
well, she got married, but she's still going by Tim, at least, as a
Oh,
stage
she's
name.
so. Yeah. From just from her. I think she's very hot.
Yeah, like
I
all 80 pounds of her.
Yeah. I think she's very hot. Hopefully she doesn't smoke meth, but I think she's very hot. Um. She's different than all the other girls at Fox. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the glamorous whatever, but she's very smart. I think something about her. She's uniquely attractive, I feel. In the pantheon of Fox News girls.
yeah,
A lot of them, you just can plug them in. You know what I mean? Whereas I think
yeah.
I think she's special. I think she's really hot. And
She
uh, and
plays
and
that dumb blonde superbly, but
yeah,
she
well,
does it in a way that if you listen to what she's saying, not just the dumb blonde tone of her voice, it's like, wow, she's pretty quick on the uptake here. She is not the dumb blonde that that the shtick is that she's doing.
I would not be surprised if she's actually a member of the Writers Guild of America, because I bet she writes. She's a smart girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, so yeah. But hey, we got to get back to Ray Epps. So
Yes.
I don't remember who we talked to about this, but so I'm going to kind of lay it out again, because as I've been about to describe it, it's one of the most scary things in modern political history. And if this turns out to be true, it's going to be a huge scandal. But they're going to memory hole it, and it's going to be the Republicans are going to memory hole this. What if Ray Epps is innocent? What if Ray Epps is a gun-loving, God-fearing American patriot that voted for Donald Trump, that supports Donald Trump, and he's not what they've said he is? What has his life looked like for the past 2 years as an innocent man? You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I definitely get it. He claims he's had to move from what was it, Texas to Utah, living in a trailer court. I don't know if his lawsuit's going to go anywhere, just because of the way that Tucker phrased his allegations. It kind of gets into that, to me anyway, and I'm no legal scholar, but it gets into that gray area of
Well, he was
how
just
the left will try and
he
say that Trump incited, the insurrection, but yet he didn't.
so
It's
Tucker
all in
didn't
how you
actually
interpret
say
it.
Tucker says I have questions. We all had questions because the way it's presented,
Yep,
it's okay to have questions. Like me having questions about Ray Epps right now possibly being innocent isn't me proclaiming that he is innocent. But I will say
exactly.
this, and this is even before the lawsuit, this Ray Epps lawsuit, and he's suing Fox, and I guess he's by virtue Tucker, but really it's Tucker as an agent of Fox. So he's not suing Tucker personally, I don't believe, but I could be
Yeah.
misguessing on that. Um, if if Ray Epps, we were told it, we were Ray Epps was singled out by the media. Well, you know what? To be fair, Ray Epps was singled out by the internet. Let's be real.
Mhm.
Let's be real. And was there even video of him at? Was there video of him at the at January 6th or January 5th, whatever it was, where people were
Yeah.
actually calling him a Fed?
Uh, he was pretty prominently displayed in some of the videos. Uh,
Well, that was
I
after the
mean,
fact. But was he walking around and did he do something during when this was happening, like right before the day before, and then the day I think it was the day before is most of the video of him. Did he do something that had people point him out and call him Fed? Fed? Am I remembering that right? Was he one of the guys
well,
or
there's
not?
video of him actually at the Capitol moving some of the barriers and motioning people to follow him, and of course you can
Oh,
spin video with no audio. Yeah, there's actually, and he's really hard to miss because he's like 6'5" or something. I mean, he
yeah.
towered above. So and that's one of the things that Tucker was doing was, uh, they would isolate him out in video, and
Well, I remember.
you could argue it from either side. Is he leading people in there trying to jam them up, or is he leading people in there because he feels like he's doing patriotic stuff?
I do remember him apparently walking around the day before the crowds and telling
Hmm.
people what he. I don't. I got to be careful because I didn't look this up. But
Yeah.
he was saying something to people like we're going to go to the cap. We're going in the Capitol tomorrow. We're going to take the Capitol. Like he was telling people, hey, make sure you're at the Capitol tomorrow. We're going to do whatever. He was
Hmm.
intimating that they were going to do something, and it's just if Ray Epps turns out to be innocent, I think there are a lot of people that need to hang their heads in shame publicly over it. Because if they have, again, I'm not defending him. For all we know, it's a false flag. But like, look, Ray Epps has filed a lawsuit. A lawsuit gets us discovery and
Hmm.
gets us evidentiary uh, uh, inquiries and depositions, and shit's going to be on the record. And it's not going to be these mealy mouth whatever things that they can get away with. And it's going to. I don't like Ray Epps is not going to have the ability if he is a confidential informant or some kind of undercover agent or undercover, conspirator with the FBI. he's not going to be able to hide that in court. And especially if he's looking for a lot of money, he's not going to be able to claim, he's not going to be able to be shielded by the court because it's germane to the entire lawsuit unless they somehow throw the lawsuit out. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, well, what I'm alluding to is there was, some during the January 6 hearings, there was, people would ask like the woman from I can't remember her name. I can see her face. The woman who was the whatever acting attorney general, and then the person who was from the FBI, and it's like I can't. Basically, they're like I can't confirm or deny, whether any agents or whatever, on January 6th. What about Ray Epps? I can't confirm or deny any agents. What about this person? I can't confirm or deny. If he is suing, what exactly is he suing? Is he suing over them saying he's an undercover narc? Or was he suing because they showed up at his house, that they said bad things about him? But like, no matter what it is, the fact that this is turning into a lawsuit, the bullshit is going to stop here. And getting a little nervous. I'm getting a little nervous that this guy would sue if he's not innocent. I'm not saying that that's proof. It needs to be adjudicated. It needs to be discovery. But dude, this needs to be a lesson for everybody. If this guy is innocent, and all of us have been running around going, "What about this Ray Epps guy?" Man, that's got to be a lesson for people to not say shit that they don't know is true.
Yep.
Be like Tucker Carlson, ask questions, but don't be like watch Tucker Carlson, him asking questions, and then you turn around and go, "Fucking Fed," and ruin this man. Like, what if he is innocent? What if he's just like you and me? And now he's supposed to be on our team, and our team would kill. I mean, you know what I mean? Would like I don't know what they would do to him. Like everyone knows his name. Like, has he
Yeah.
had has he had people show up at his house like breaking in, like the women down in Georgia? That you remember the guy that broke into the two poll workers? They
Mm-hmm.
worked at they broke into the mother and the daughter of their
The
house.
mother and the
They
daughter. Yeah.
and tried to place him under citizen's arrest or whatever. And the guy was crazy, but it's because he gotten all stirred up by all the shit that was being said, uh, you know, after the election. And these two people turned out to be innocent. They were working there, and they weren't handing off. It turns out they weren't handing off little thumb drives. They handed each other a piece of gum.
Yeah.
And it was like, where do those women go? Like, those women had to flee their house. They had to go into hiding. His Ray Epps had to go into hiding too. Like this,
See,
like God,
here's the thing. I followed that quite a bit on Tucker, and he never came out and said Ray Epps is a federal agent. What he would do is he would plant the seed of doubt. So he would say things like, a couple little ladies that were just walking through the Capitol because the gates were moved aside for them got arrested. There's been 1,000 people arrested, but we have all this video of Ray Epps, looks like he's organizing the infiltration of the Capitol, but yet he's a free man. So is he a federal agent or not? He won't answer the question. We've asked him
that's a
numerous
legitimate
times.
question. But
And
were
that's
there
what he's saying. That's what he's suing over, is saying that's got people stirred up. I never
or
heard Tucker say he's a federal agent. What I heard was a lot of reasonable questions in my mind.
why wasn't he arrested?
Why
Like
wasn't he scooped up?
how
Because, I mean, look
were there?
at him.
Okay,
He's
wait a minute,
leading the
because I
crowd.
thought now wait a minute, now this could be a framing issue too, because now we have to be real here. Okay, because my understanding is the only people that have been arrested were either physically fighting with police officers, Capitol Hill police, or had entered the building.
Yeah.
So, were any other people that had moved barricades arrested?
Well, and he was in the building. There's film footage of him inside the building.
Ray Epps was in the Capitol building?
Yes.
Are you sure? I haven't.
Yep.
I don't think I'm aware of that one.
Yep.
So this is
That so
this is
that so
interesting.
that was and that was the thrust of Tucker's whole line of reasoning is, we have asked him on this show numerous times, is he a federal agent? Because thousands of people have been arrested, but yet he is not. And then they would show video loops of him walking around and such and pulling the gates aside and whispering in people's ear and motioning them inside. So to me, that's a legitimate question. But also what that question does, it's a leading question for people that want to be led. So here's to me where it gets sticky. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that he is not an employee of the FBI,
Well, he wouldn't be an
but
employee. He could be a confidential
was.
informant.
So the 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 thrust of Tucker's questions made it sound like they were insinuating that he was an actual agent, in which the
Well,
FBI can say, no, he is not an employee of the FBI.
yeah,
They
because
wouldn't
but
be lying. They're playing semantics and
they're not
word
playing semantics.
games.
Because actually, people get this wrong all the time. So, like, um, when people talk about spy, I can't remember how this works. When people talk about the CIA and spies, like I knew a guy, and not he's not. I mean, he's pretty well known, but he is a he's not a CIA agent. He's retired. He's not the CIA anymore. He was not, and he also worked for the ground branch too, but
Mhm.
he was not a CIA agent. He was a case officer. He's not a spy. He's a case officer, and if he would recruit a asset, technically you would call that person a spy, but my friend who worked at the CIA was not an agent. He was the job as a case officer, but even then, he's also not he's not a spy. He's a case officer, and
Mhm.
so like calling someone that's a confidential informant for the FBI or with a law enforcement agency, they're not an agent. They're a they're an informant. They're an asset. They're whatever. An agent is an agent.
Yeah.
So I think the argument is, I don't think that argument really holds that much water because it's semantics. People misuse that all the time. But basically, the argument is he an employee or in the employ, or is he have any relationship with anybody at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice, or any other anyone else at the Department of Homeland Security, or any law enforcement agency or intelligence agency, foreign and domestic, inside the United States or outside the United States.
Mhm.
And once you do that, once you eliminate all that, then it's to be Katie by the door. But maybe Ray Epps is a psychopath. Maybe Ray Epps is an actual confidential informant. Maybe Ray Epps is guilty as fuck, but he's like, I'm going to get me some money too. And he's suing. He's suing Fox. And now there's people at the FBI headquarters saying to themselves, you stupid motherfucker, I can't wait to move to Alabama. I mean, like like this is a big, because this story is either going to disappear or it is going to be a huge story.
Yep.
This Ray Epps thing, and nobody's talking about this, and it's like, I'm not.
So
I'm. Go ahead.
here's the rabbit hole I go down with it. Tucker left enough gray area that it's really easy to form a lot of different opinions. To me, we're from what I've seen so far, and like we say on a lot of issues, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know the facts. They're yet to come out. But I can envision some scenarios where Tucker could be right and also where Tucker could be wrong. So let's just say he was a confidential informant and maybe he overstepped what he was supposed to be doing for the feds. and he's been outed and his life's been turned upside down. To me, it's very plausible that he went and complained to the FBI that Tucker's outing me, and the feds went, hey, we gave you really strict parameters of what you could do for us and give to us, and you colored outside the lines. So the coloring outside the lines is your responsibility to deal with.
If Ray Epps has any affiliation, officially or unofficially, with any organization a part of or contracted through or associated with the federal government, Ray Epps loses the lawsuit. And Tucker
Yeah.
Carlson and Fox News is not Fox News wins. It does. If Ray Epps is a federally, if Ray Epps is plums toilets at Redstone Arsenal as a federal employee, or as a contractor at Redstone Arsenal, then Tucker Carlson he's gonna lose that lawsuit against Fox News. And it's
Yeah.
like, but it's like, then why would you do this? Like, that's the thing. Like,
Well, why does anybody
I've
sue?
dealt with crazy people that will file lawsuits that are impossible to win. But it's like, if Ray Epps is trying to move on with his life, if he truly was involved in this, why the fuck would he do this? If he wasn't involved in it, and he's now a name we all know, Ray Epps did not, as an attorney representing Ray Epps, I can make an argument for him. And my argument is this: Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client was just like many millions of Americans 79 million Americans who voted for President Donald Trump. And he went to Washington to exercise his constitutional Fourth Amendment rights and the right to assembly or whatever, his constitutional rights, to speech, political speech, and to seek redress and to express his displeasure with our federal government. And like millions of other Americans, he did so peacefully, he did so legally, and he did so constitutionally. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, of all the other people that their name, like whatever shaman guy, what did my guy do? Like, why is my guy a Fed? How come no one asked if what's the shit, I can't remember, QAnon shaman? How come no one's asking if he's a fucking Fed? How come the girl that was shot outside the speaker's lobby, no, how come no one's asking, how come no one's accusing her of being a Fed? How come, so and so whatever that were involved in the fist fights with the police officer that died later, that turns out it wasn't because of the fist fights or whatever, or the tussling, whatever they, people want to spin. How come no one's asking if they were a Fed? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the reason people are asking whether my client, Mr. Epps, sitting here today, who voted for Donald Trump and is a conservative, people are asking as a Fed, is because of people like Mr. Carlson and Fox News. And
Okay.
if he can make that fucking argument, and he is not, oh boy.
But then you can turn around and you can say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the QAnon shaman was arrested, prosecuted, convicted, and did jail time. Ashley Babbitt was shot in the throat climbing through a window. So obviously, probably not a federal agent. Thousands of people have been arrested who did nothing more than walk through the door that was opened for them and walking through the halls of the Capitol. There is video of Mr. Epps leading people into the Capitol, opening gates for them, but yet with all this evidence, which many have been convicted on even less evidence, he has never so much as been arrested.
Yeah,
He has
that's the
not been
thing.
indicted. You can go back and forth, is what I'm saying.
You can, but you have a good point. Now, we need to confirm this because I think we may have said something like, I do not believe but I do not recall at this time, Senator. I do not believe that I have ever seen video of Ray Epps inside the Capitol building. And I think that is why he's never been arrested. If he went through, because
yeah.
if you're outside the Capitol building and you weren't smashing shit and you weren't punching out with cops, I don't think you were. You people that were primarily arrested, am I right? Weren't they the ones that went into the building? It's like 900 and some people they've arrested so far. I don't believe Ray Epps ever was. Ray Epps even at I don't even know if. Well, no, you said because they saw him with the barricades the day of the thing. So I don't know. Like I don't know. Is moving a barricade? Well, I don't know if there's. I'm sure he's not the only person that moved a barricade.
No.
But wait a minute. Is he the guy you said? Yeah. Is he the one that whispered, like went up to a cop and whispered something, and maybe they opened the barricade?
Something
Is
like
that
that,
true?
yeah.
Is that one of the things they said? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying this one, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this podcast, don't take what people say at face value on this, but you better pay attention to this Ray Epps lawsuit because this one's going to get really interesting. And the fact that Fox News isn't covering it, there's a clue. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. We've been going for a while. I mean, you ready to do a police blotter and toss it? We've
Yeah,
been going for
sounds
2 hours. Holy shit balls. It's midnight. Okay. Well, so anyway, I got three of them. The first one is more of like it's a public service announcement. And this is out of Alabama. And there's apparently something called a TikTok jumping boat challenge. And apparently what this is people will get into high-speed boats and they'll take them up to speed. And they need to jump off the back of the boat into the prop wash. Like they'll backflip into the prop wash at high speed. Right now, the state of Alabama is reporting 4 people have been killed by breaking their necks, jumping off of the back of these boats during the TikTok of jumping boat challenge. So don't do that. That's police blotter. So four police calls for dead bodies in the lake is police blotter number 1. Police blotter number 2 comes out of Cincinnati. It's a local story. And there's photographs of this guy, and it's incredible. Well, it's not incredible, but it's funny. So I don't know if it was the Taylor Swift concert or if it was a baseball game or whatever it was, but this guy, he showed up. He showed up at one of the parking lots downtown, and he had a little vest. He had a little orange flag, and he stood in the parking lot, and he would wave cars in, and he would take the money, and you go park over here, go park over there. I don't know if there was like a place to collect money for the parking lot, but it's a parking lot that sells, and so he collected. They estimate $1,600 in cash. And I think he was selling by cash only, dude. We're cash only. Sorry, we're cash. Got cash. We're cash only. He collected $1,600 and then he dipped, and everybody came back and found all their cars ticketed.
Nice.
Yeah, they got a picture, dude. They got a picture of him clear as a bell. They're gonna fight his ass, but you know what? Kind of, you need to be. Look, I get it. You need to be whatever, but kind of respect the hustle.
You
Kind of
you
respect.
got to kind of admire the hustle.
I mean, like, hey, look, the man had a job. You know what I mean? Like, at least
Yeah.
he's not lazy. Like, he had a job. It's like, go get a job. It's like, all right, pick up a flag. I have a job. The third one comes out of Las Vegas. And this one there's a video of this guy. We'll put it up on the website in the comment section. There's a video of a guy. He's in Las Vegas. And he is there for a bachelor party. And what do you do in Vegas when you're there for a bachelor party? You gamble. And what do you do in Vegas when you're gambling at the bachelor party? You drink. And what do you do at Vegas when you're gambling at the bachelor party and drinking? You do drugs. And then what do you do when you're in Vegas? Drinking, dope, gambling at the bachelor party in Vegas? You get naked and climb up on the poker table and start dancing around until security hauls you off. And his defense has been somebody roofied him. You know, it's like, oh, what,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I was roofied. I guess his wife is like, someone roofied my husband. It's like, yeah, okay. Someone, yeah, sure thing, baby. Yeah, you know, yeah. Her name was Candy, and she was, her name was Kat, and she worked at Fox News, and she weighed 80 pounds. So, all right, well, this wraps up episode 311 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any more stories or pictures, links, of what we discussed, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good night.
Night, everybody.